everybody. Welcome to our first ever church family dinner. I'm your executive pastor, William Colley. So glad you guys are here with us. I'm joined by your lead pastor, Benjamin Kempfer.
What's up, fam?
Our Hope Director, Monica Sanchez.
Hello.
And our College Women's Discipleship Director, Jenna Gerkles.
Hi, everybody.
Awesome. We're excited for here. We're excited about tonight. What we're going to talk about is kind of update the church. So, Ben, why don't you get us started on why we decided to call a midweek live stream church family dinner?
So a couple of reasons that we decided to do this. And one, so as we're going tonight, we want you to feel free to comment online, any questions, any thoughts you have, anything that you're thinking, man, Monica, your hair's looking phenomenal. Jenna, like killing the outfit game. William, just keep the curls strong, my dude. You know,
I'll try, man.
Yeah. So any comments that you have like that, edifications, you know, do what you do. But the real reason we wanted to do this is because for us growing up, what family dinner was, it was kind of the hub of communication. Family dinner was the place where you would go and you'd be busy throughout the day or throughout the week, but then you kind of sit down together and you talk about what had happened, you know, kind of recap what was going on in life, and also talk about what's coming up in the family. And so as we were talking, we just realized, man, there has been so much that has happened since we were last, corporately together in a worship service where, it wasn't weird to sit next to somebody that you don't know, 6 inches away or so. And so it's just been a while since we've been all together. There's been a ton of stuff that's happened, a ton of stuff that we're looking towards the future. And so we just thought, man, why not call it a family dinner and talk about kind of what's been going on, what's happened in the future, and just really connect with everybody in that context. So, so we just having family dinner. We've got our food. We had some debate pre-show about whether we're going to actually eat on stage.
It's kind of a divide right here in the middle.
I was definitely pro eating on stage as well as Ben.
Yeah.
We were going to have a hunger strike about it, which is kind of ironic.
Yeah. We threaten in the extremes here.
Well, drop in the comments, like, if you want to hear Ben eat his Chick-fil-A
If you don't,
sandwich.
it's happening.
Oh, gosh. Awesome. We're so glad you guys are here with us. Monica, so you are the director of our Hope program. So during this COVID era, why don't you tell us a little bit about, what life has been like, what maybe how you guys have, interacted with the Hope scholars and the Hope families and all that.
Yeah, I will say nobody expected this, and everyone left for spring break, and it was the longest spring break ever. So we were very sad that we had to end the school year earlier than we had anticipated, but all summer long, we would do our best to call the families, check in on the kids, see how they were doing. I'm friends with a few of the parents on Facebook, so I would see, pictures. There were, a few birthdays. I'm like, we miss you so much. Your Hope family loves you. Happy birthday. You're so big. And some of us have been able to go to their neighborhood, masked up, obviously, and just go visit them, check up on them. And some of their mentors have also taken them to bookstores, taken them to Chick-fil-A. So we've still maintained those relationships.
Yeah, that's awesome. I just thought about this. Favorite actual family dinner memory. Or what are some highlights of having family dinners? Ben, what you got, man?
So I don't know. We got a lot of really crazy things that went down at the dinner table, the Kempfer household. Probably, I'm gonna go with this. The most formative thing that happened at the dinner table. So when I was younger, we would sit down, and it would be my sister, my mom, and I. My mom was a phenomenal cook, so she would spend a lot of time cooking and make just incredible dishes. And we would sit down at dinner, and we would talk a bunch, but we would play this game. We'd play this game called Judge or Courtroom. And basically, my mom would present a case. She would be the judge. My sister would be a lawyer on one side. I'd be a lawyer on the other side. And we would have to argue our cases.
That's the most Kempfer thing I've ever
So
heard.
if you know me, I'm yes. So from a young age, I was point, counterpoint, debating stuff. So I think that in terms of rhetorical strategies, that was very formative for mine.
Yeah, that's good. Jenna, what about you? You have any family dinner memories?
Oh, yeah, there's lots of good ones. Me and my older sister would dress up with, a bunch of, feathered beads and things and little high heels, and we would get in our Barbie car and drive to the living room where I could go into the movie theater, and then we would eat ramen and watch movies all night. So that was, my favorite thing.
That's what we would do, too, just, the whole, glitter, high heels, little Barbie car. 100%.
Yeah, and Monica, you guys do something. I mean, I think this is cool. Like, you guys have started now as like young professionals, don't live like with your parents, but you guys kind of got a little family dinner tradition going, right?
Yeah, me and my friends, we started doing this thing. We call it Shabbat dinners. For most of us, our Sabbath day is Saturday. So on the eve of our Sabbath, we get together and we have dinner together, and we just sit at the table and talk all night. And we all take turns cooking for one another, and it's been really cool. Last Friday, the topic of discussion, we picked like different actors, and you have to like, okay, what if one of them didn't exist? And so for a long time, we had to imagine a world where Will Smith never existed.
Ouch.
And truly, I don't want a world where there was no Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Facts.
I don't think anyone would want that.
That's a valid point.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, that's where I got my AIM name from when I was like in middle school, was Big Willie Style. So, I wouldn't have that AIM name, You guys
Ladies
don't even
and
know
gentlemen,
AIM.
aren't you so glad that you tuned into this? Now you know. Big Willie Style 4173.
Big Willie Style
Master Big
86.
Willie style.
There you go. No, that's great. So we heard a little bit about hope. So Jenna, talking about groups and kind of the COVID area. Obviously, like, groups were wildly affected, not being able to meet together, physically be together. So like, I guess how did the church respond? How did our groups respond like during that time?
Yeah, I think kind of once we got past like the chaos of it all and figured out what we were going to do moving forward, we decided to go all online with groups. And so that was usually through Zoom. And I think it was just super cool to see the ways that all of our leaders adapted and people stood up to joining in. So yeah, it was great. I mean, obviously a big change, but we adapted.
Yeah, that's great. So, man, I know there were so many leaders that stepped up. I mean, Zoom, right? Back in March, like, what was Zoom, right? Now it's like this whole like new world. So for groups in particular, what were kind of some of the wins, kind of some of the things that you're like looking back, man, how can we celebrate how groups, did during that season?
Yeah, I would say the biggest thing for me, just observing all of it and observing the ways that our leaders stepped up and adapted to the situation, was just that God can't be stopped. And that was just the coolest thing. Like, community is always going to be present, and just learning a different way to format that. But I think it was just really cool to see that, and the ways that people from different places could gather together as opposed to just the Tallahassee area.
Yeah, that's good. I know there were some people that like had never been involved with groups before, right? And then they all of a sudden it was like, okay, I can like stay home and like, stay in my pajamas and join a group. Like, I think I'll do that, right? So it was like a whole new like part of our church that was able. I know for my wife and I, Jewel, like we did an online group for a little while, and a couple that used to live here that was in Jacksonville, and then they had actually recently, like a week before everything like got locked down, they moved to Tampa. And so they like saw we were doing online groups, and so they actually jumped in with us for a couple weeks, kind of as they were new to it, a new city and all that. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I'd say with that, there's a variation of group, which is the Welcome to Church kind of class, which is really just like an on-ramp to stuff. And one of the things that's been cool about that is, if you're not familiar with Welcome to Church, essentially every church has a model for how we help people grow spiritually, right? And it's got to have the flexibility to allow anybody and everybody to jump into it. So if you're brand new to faith, or if you've been following Jesus for a long time, or just investigating, yet at the same time doesn't create so much different versions and variations that's really ineffective. And so Welcome to Church welcomes whoever wants to be involved to our church's model for how we try to accomplish that. In the last two Welcome to Church classes have been by far the best attended and the most productive class. Jay Gardner's done a phenomenal job of leading that stuff. But, I mean, even just kind of some of that on-ramp stuff has been really cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's cool. So for Ben and Monica, I know also outreach in general has just looked like completely different. And we've been able to kind of see some cool stories, and maybe, our church as a whole hasn't kind of seen what we've been able to kind of do, how we've been able to serve our community. So why don't you guys share a little bit about how outreach has looked during the past couple of months?
Yeah, I will say that doing outreach when this pandemic hit, I mean, everybody was like, what do I do now? And I will admit I was a little bit defeated. I was like, I don't know what we're going to do. How do we do outreach ministry when we can't see anybody? But we really had to get creative, and God just like really showed up with those ideas, you know? And a verse actually that got me through that was John 9:4. And let me pull it up real quick so that I do the Bible justice. It says, as long as it is day, we must do the works of him who sent me. So even though COVID is happening, people are in their houses, we still have to do the kingdom work.
Yeah, that's good. And what some of the cool things that have happened is that really because of your generosity, we were able to meet a bunch of needs as soon as COVID hit. I think we provided in the first 4 weeks. We didn't have to think about it. It was just we knew we had the margin. People were being generous.
Yeah.
And so we were able to spring into action and help provide, I think, 20,000 meals over a 4-week period to the community kind of around us in general. And so, again, thanks to your generosity for helping to be able to do that. And Monica and the whole outreach leadership, and really a lot of people in the church kicked in terms of just leadership and having the capacity to, we did, bags for teachers, kind of support bags and things like that.
Yeah, we did some gifts to the teachers from our congregation. We did little gift bags for the entire intensive care unit at TMH, and we were able to bring them lunch. That was, I don't want to pick a favorite, but that was one of my favorite things that we did get to do because those people who work there, they're working so hard, long hours. And I just want to shout out Hunter Meadows, who was like our contact there, including Jewel. And they just helped us organize that, and it was a lot of fun actually to get in the truck and bring off all these little gift bags to them.
Yeah, that was cool. With everything that happened and kind of the national awareness of what was going on in terms of civil rights and the continued fight for equality, we were able to launch the 321 campaign to see really kind of how do we create this moment that's happening in our culture into a sustained movement. So if you haven't been to it, 321campaign.com, we really challenge the whole congregation to say, we want you to find 3 ways to diversify your people, places, and spaces, 2 different pieces of education to continue your education, and 1 way to get involved on a weekly or monthly basis. And so alongside of that, we were able to bring Monica on full-time support with outreach. So that was sweet. And gosh, the backpack drive. Tell me about the backpack drive that's been happening recently.
Yeah, so if you've been keeping up with us, you've seen that we were collecting money for a backpack drive for Riley Elementary School, which is a school here in town. And we have some connections at that school, and we were able to get books, pencils, crayons, a whole bunch of stuff for the school, including hand sanitizer, soaps, and masks for the students and the staff. And now we're putting together gift bags for the entire staff. And since that school doesn't have the same kind of resources that some of the other schools in our town do, we're using some of that leftover money from those backpack drives and pulling some just general church money to be able to provide dry fit polos with the embroidered school logo on it, so that the teachers can show up first week of school swagged out.
Yeah, and in case you don't know, the reason that that's so significant is because if you went to a school where teachers had that and that was kind of the norm, that's because the school had a support system and the parent-teacher-student organization that allowed the parents basically kind of pooled the resources together and bought those for the teachers and the administration. Well, Lindsay Brown, who's one of our friends and the assistant vice principal at Riley, correct?
Yep.
She basically said, of the needs that we have, that's one thing that we have never had as a staff, as a school, is, just kind of that sense of bond and camaraderie. We thought, man, that would be an awesome thing just to love and to bless the entire of Riley Elementary. So again, this isn't like a thing about giving, but I can't say this enough. You have done such an extraordinary job of not backing down at this difficult time to the point where we have been able to provide thousands of meals, support teachers, support hospital workers, support an entire school, in and of themselves with backpacks and stuff like that. We were able to invest in cameras, and I would tell you through the end of July, we are about $22,000 ahead of where we were budget-wise. Wow. So it's crazy. I mean, God is good, and you guys are generous. So thanks for all that.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'd say we say all those things to say, like, thank you to all of our to everybody in our church, to realize that you guys are, you've been so generous, right? You've given so much, you've gone above and beyond, and I'm excited to be a part of a church that a pandemic hits and it's not let's tighten our wallets, right? But rather let's give more. Let's try to do more, And you always hear, you can't outwork God, you can't outbless God, and we've been able to see that, and it's just been awesome. And I'd say also with a lot of this stuff too, huge shout out to our man Christian Horton. If you like the setup right tonight,
yes.
drop some praise hands in the comments,
some heart reacts,
hearts. Give him some love,
or some of those little heart eyes.
Ooh, hey, he's taken,
but not like taken.
Yeah.
But yeah, he is.
Ring by spring, Sorry there. Hey, but with that too, we also on Sundays had to make this major shift. We as a church had never done anything online. We weren't against it, but it was just something that we never had even, thought about. So in a week we were like, all right, I remember that week before COVID put us on lockdown. We had all these ideas, and then it was 12 hours later, no, we couldn't do that. 12 hours, we come up with another idea. 12 hours later, no, we can't do that. I'm like, oh my gosh. All right, we're online. That's our option. So we had to completely shift. So I guess Ben, share a little bit about what that's been like for us, how we've kind of had to adjust. Thank you to everybody that's part of our church, being patient with us as we've kind of made that adjustment and had, internet issues and all sorts of problems. Yeah,
it's been crazy. So we, like William said, and everybody was like this, right? When the first hit, you had to have a contingency plan for your contingency plan that also had 2 additional contingency plans. I remember we had just spent 2 hours in a staff meeting talking about how if we had to have 50 people or less in a venue, we had an entire network of micro churches that were going to pop up all around the city, and we walk out of the staff meeting and 15 minutes later it's 10 or less. And it was okay, well, what are we doing here? But I can't speak highly enough about our staff as a whole. They just did a phenomenal job of saying, hey, we're going to drop whatever we're doing. We want to make sure that everyone in this crazy time has a sense of normalcy and you're able to go to church. And so phenomenal job of at first piecing it together. And then the next challenge was, okay, we want to have people back in the building at some point, and obviously an appropriate in a responsible way, but we need to have it be as good online live as it was when we were able to copy and paste the whole thing together. And Christian was a huge part of that. Our whole tech team, so many of you have volunteered to make that possible. And so
Luke was a huge part, writing scripts, getting people connected.
Luke really hopped in and drove a lot of things with the program and whatnot. And so so that was great. And what's been really cool about this, and this was what was interesting. So William and I talked not too long ago. And in fact, this is part of what brought this night about, is he was saying, man, it's interesting because since people are kind of distanced apart from one another and they're only able to see and experience what happens virtually, we see so many cool things that are happening, but I'm afraid that not everybody else sees all the cool things that are happening. And so what we would see is online on a random mid-July summer, Sunday, when, statistically our attendance is low because students are gone and people are out of town on vacation. On a random Sunday in July, we would have more people and more views than we would on an Easter Sunday, at the peak of kind of population and whatnot. And so it was holy cow, this is wild. God is moving in a different way, but in a really extraordinary way. If there is a 99 and a 1, the 99 are online, the 99 are in social media. And so we want to absolutely lean into that and leverage that as a way to see kind of Jesus go forward. So you guys have done a phenomenal job, again, of sharing the link. We say that all the time on Sunday, but we say it because it works.
Yeah.
I think our podcast over the last 90 days has averaged kind of continually right around 11,000 downloads or something like that. So I promise you what I have to say is not that cool. It might be funny at times, but it's not that cool. But you guys have just done a wonderful job of taking and sharing and owning that and really having that be a way that you can present the gospel during this time.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, it's also been cool because now we've been able to, inviting people to church has shifted a little bit, and now we've been able to take church to them, and we're constantly trying to find ways to make that better. And I know there's been so many stories of parents that have tuned in that have always been curious about church, and curious about faith, that have started watching, right? And we know a couple down in the Villages, right? They got a whole watching church together on
Hey,
Sunday.
shout out to my man Rick. Rick, if you're tuning in right now, I love you. I love you, my man. That's my golf partner from a different city.
I've had friends that come up and hey, you popped up on my Facebook the other day. I was watching you sing, and I'm like, oh gosh, it's terrifying. But people that have been watching and tuning in, stories. We had a couple that came recently. They found out about us because they started watching our YouTube channel, which is
Yeah, we launched a
crazy.
YouTube channel.
Yeah, we did launch
not
that.
Not even that long ago.
Yeah, 2-3 weeks ago. Yeah, it hasn't been that long. And they were like, yeah, we found you guys on YouTube and started watching sermons and been looking for a church, and they were here on Sunday. So
what a time to be alive.
It's like
That is awesome. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's like the front door to church, the exposure to God is now be able to meet them where they're at.
Right. Which is the cool part about that, right? Because there's so many in kind of our position for a long time has been that when Jesus walked planet Earth, he attracted people. People were magnetized to him who culturally and societally most folks would think are nothing like him, right? The most religious people, they didn't really like him. But people who were nothing like him loved him. We've always thought, man, if we can just give people a taste of that representation of who Jesus is, then I think that there's a chance. I think God wants to connect. I think God wants to show them something that perhaps they have an aversion to Christianity because of the version of Christianity they were presented with as a child. And so our thought has been, man, if we can just do something that gives people a small experience of who Jesus is, and digital has allowed us to create that first experience, say, man, maybe that's not as weird as I thought it was.
Yeah.
Or maybe that's not as, ethereal. Actually having a relationship with God can be something I can do. It's tangible, it's practical. And so it's been really cool to see people who have connected for the first time in a long time or first time ever with God because of that.
Yeah, it's awesome. I'd say also, I don't want to leave out kids because they have also
Yes.
I don't know if they
Shout
talked
out to
about in the
Delaney.
pre-show,
Killed it.
but kids has crushed it, right? And I know as a parent, and been as a parent, being able to see how, so I don't, if you guys aren't parents, you don't know this, Delaney and our kids team, they made a point to start putting together packets every week, and not just, of all the material, of all the teaching stuff, putting up the videos that we need online, all those things, and then hand delivering them to our families. And it's been awesome to see, one, the parents being able to get involved with the kids and what the kids are learning, which is the goal, right? Our kids team always knows that, okay, we got an hour, but if we can get the parent engaged with the kid, it can go so much further. So being able to take that to them, equip our parents, has been incredible. And with that as well, our kids team be able to develop relationships with those families has just been awesome. So shout out to them. So now turn a little bit to the future, that kind of exciting stuff. We're able to, hopefully kind of just see how God's continued to, move during this season. We're kind of seeing we're seeing how he's moving, and we just kind of want to pivot and kind of, kind of jump along how he's working. So, Jenna, we got groups coming up here. I want you to talk a little bit about group launch, which we're excited about. But man, just group life, what is that looking like? What is, obviously things look different this fall, but for groups, how does that look?
So August 30th, next Sunday, we have group launch, which is super exciting. So that will be an opportunity for us to talk about the importance of community groups, as well as present some of the community groups and give an opportunity for everyone to meet the leaders. So we're super excited about that. Please don't miss that. I think one of the really cool things that's come from COVID, but also in us moving forward, is that we're going to have online groups if that's something you still want to do. If you're not in Tallahassee or maybe not comfortable, we have online groups, and we're also having in-person groups, which is really exciting. Happy to be back to that. So we have about 30 total groups. And I think the best part is there's a group for everybody. So there's young married, young professional, college, family. So there's kind of something for everybody.
Yeah, that's huge. that's this Sunday, group launch. It's in, previously we've kind of done a big dinner, kind of a big group launch event. Didn't really feel like that was appropriate this time, so we're actually taking this Sunday. Ben's going to talk about groups and kind of kick off all of our groups this week. So we're very excited. We believe that we are a church of groups, not a church with groups. And so we're going to talk more about that Sunday, and excited for everybody to get involved. It's online too, so you don't have an excuse,
And just go to church. That's all you got to do.
Yeah, exactly. Just show up. So Jenna, another thing that we've been working on is just diversifying our content, right? Trying to, as a church, kind of put out more stuff. If you guys hadn't seen on our social media, make sure you follow us on Instagram, Facebook, hopefully on Facebook if you're watching. Follow us on Instagram. We've been, Luke released the Pages podcast going through Color Compromise in conjunction with the 321 campaign.
And Savant Lamont.
Lamont.
Don't leave my dude out.
I know. That's
Lamont
my bad.
Williams.
Sorry, Savant.
The legend.
But also, you've been a huge part of this thing we launched called the Freshman 15. So as Dylan said, it's not a weight loss program. But why don't you tell us a little bit about what the Freshman 15 is?
Yeah, absolutely. So Freshman 15 is basically a devotional that is meant to help you ask questions as a freshman that some of us typically wouldn't ask until we graduate. And it's just really taking the time to walk through what it looks like to walk through college with faith, and emphasizes kind of the importance of community, and finding your identity in Christ. So we're really excited about that, really excited to try something new out with freshmen. And it's on the app, and it's also on dccfreshman15.com.
Yeah, that's good. Another thing that's kind of been cool is we realized, hey, we're kind of limited on Sundays. And so we realized not as many people are going to be church shopping. So we've really, trying to push it on, or we've been running some ads on Instagram and Facebook, trying to meet people where they're at, get it in front of people. And we've had people download it, and hopefully give them some great content like for their freshman year of college.
Yeah, a big part of that too is, right, I mean, so many people, how you finish depends on how you start. It's not the ultimate determiner, but it's a huge help. And just trying to say, how can we help people to not landmine their faith in the first 15 days of college? Like, here's a couple of irreducible minimums that we're going to unpack. It's not too crazy, it's not too long, but hopefully it'll be super helpful.
Yeah, and we got some cool stuff coming out next week, so you guys pay attention to that. I'm really excited about some projects that we're working on in conjunction with the Freshman 15. So, all right, so Monica, the people want to know.
The people want
to know.
We have
Hope.
This might be the coolest thing that we talk about all night.
We're very excited about Hope, potential Hope. So why don't you share a little bit about what Hope's going to look like this fall and moving forward?
Yes, so we are having Hope this year, which I'm very excited about, and we are going to be meeting in person. Now, if you're familiar with Hope at all, it is going to look very different. So in the past, we've had an elementary school night on Mondays and a middle school night on Wednesdays, and each night we have about 30 kids there, and we can't really be doing the large group stuff anymore. So we've had to completely restructure our program, but I'm actually super excited about it. We're going to have Hope Monday through Thursday. So almost every night of the week, we're going to be having Hope, and we're going to have smaller groups of kids, and the kids are assigned nights based on, we have a lot of siblings that come, so it's like you're going to be there with your siblings, so we're limiting the amount of interaction that they're having with people, for health reasons, obviously. So we're going to have about 8 to 10 kids a night, and we're still going to be doing the one-on-one aspect. We've spent hours putting together COVID protocols and measures, and reaching out to parents, visiting people's homes, and we are really excited about it. And what's really cool, too, is that with Hope, so many of you guys who have participated, you love this program so much, you keep sticking around, which is, it's a really great problem to have, like a high mentor volunteer retention. And that's probably my favorite part of that, is how it's not anything I do or anything that anyone on staff or leadership does. It's truly the work that God is doing in that program. People are seeing it, and they just want to keep doing it.
I would say with that, though, some of that is you and your leadership. Just to be honest, like God working through you, right?
Yeah.
People
Amen.
don't stick around where there's bad leadership, where they're thinking this is a waste of my time. So I don't want it to go through the fact that so many people want to sacrifice so much, and that's directly related to you and your leadership. So thank you for what you do.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And you got something.
Drop some clappy hands
Yeah.
in the comments if you want to give
Some
Monica
praises.
a shout.
Yeah. But Monica has been working on a really cool project. This is groundbreaking and potentially like sometimes we're like, oh, we could change the city. Like legitimately is a game-changing thought. So tell everybody about kind of the thing that we've been looking at. As we're saying, how do we take this idea of mentorship, of literacy, of underserved schools, especially in the pandemic age where under-resourced communities are at a disproportionate disadvantage during this time. But you've really come up with some incredible ways. So tell us about what you got planned.
So this is a long project I've been working on all summer, and in addition to everything that Ben said, we realized that we can leverage technology. This pandemic has made us realize that. And at Hope stands for helping others prosper through education. And so ultimately, we are so focused on targeting literacy. And we have been working on this online literacy sort of program, doing lots of research. We brought on Allie Frith, who is also my roommate, to help assist in this. She's doing so good. And so this new project is called Hope X. And and basically, it's this reading program under this organization called Renaissance. And it's if you mixed like Sims and Netflix and the biggest library in the world. So basically this online resource is like a Netflix of books. They have about 16,000 titles on there, and kids can go on, pick a book on their reading level and read through it, and then take these comprehension tests through it. And my favorite part about it is that we can take assessments before and after, so we can really track where these kids are when they come in. We can track how they've progressed over the school year.
Yeah.
And I can't wait to try it out, and we're going to be starting that this September.
Yeah, so it's cool. So there's going to be a beta test that runs for the next 30 days or so with our mentors, because we want to make sure it works before we try to scale anything. We want to make sure this is in fact working. Like Monica said, it has the ability for us to do tests consistently. We didn't want to have something where we couldn't tell if it's actually working. And so as we do that, then we're going to be partnering with some local elementary school, like a class at first, to try to scale that a little bit. And then that's going to go to potentially an entire grade. The dream, and what's frankly functionally pretty possible, is that we kind of become a hub of a resource for all the schools that we're adding value to them, adding mentorship, looking to add the mentorship component to it in a way that we can compile data and say, all right, so this one particular kid over the last 4 months has taken a 6-month jump in literacy, which is phenomenal. But this other kid has only gone 2 months. And so, okay, we need to have some extra attention, some extra love and support and an intervention on that. So it helps us to really, on a very granular level, leverage technology and data to love and serve our community well. So you guys have come up with a phenomenal solution with that. So I'm excited.
Yeah, that's huge. And making sure, like, hey, they're struggling in this area. Let's connect them with the right mentor that can help them really move forward. I know Hope for years has been, a pillar of who we are and how we operate, and we've always talked about how are we going to scale it, right? And so I think this is going to be incredible. So you guys, everybody just be praying for that, praying for Hope X. Monica, is there anything else you want to say about Hope, or if anybody wants to get involved, how they reach out?
Yes. So we do have very limited spots available for our in-person mentoring. And if you are interested, there's an application that has been emailed out to those who are interested. And if that's you out there and you want it, email me, Monica@Dcctally.com, and I would love to email that to you.
Fantastic. That's good. All right. So real quick, as we kind of, our last thing here. So Ben, I guess talking about.
Hold on. Do you have any questions or anything? Has anybody asked a question yet? Online?
Online?
Like on Facebook?
Man, I don't have the Facebook pulled up.
Oh, never mind.
You just threw this on me.
I got us.
Never mind.
Now I got to pull up Facebook.
Bro, you got an iPad in your lap. What was I supposed to
Well,
think?
as William's pulling that up, Ben, why don't you tell us about
of.
Project Tallahassee?
Project Tallahassee is phenomenal.
but what's the future of it? Look, come on, man.
No. So Jay, a lot of you guys know JJ has been, the letter J, by the way, has been leading Project Tallahassee, and a lot of Project Tallahassee has faced some of the same strategic challenges that gathering in large groups has been difficult. And so actually part of what we've been trying to push Project Tallahassee towards for a little while has been not necessarily it's one Sunday or it's one Saturday and everybody gets together, but groups of people, small pockets of people partnering with nonprofits throughout the weeks, throughout the months, to really love and serve the community well. We have always felt like the last thing we need to do is create competition with nonprofits who are just knocking it out of the park. Why would we ever try to recreate something that someone's doing well that's loving and serving people? We just want to be fuel and the gasoline that makes it go. And so Project Tallahassee over the next several months is going to be accomplishing a lot of that stuff by partnering in smaller ways, smaller events, getting community groups involved, little pockets of friend groups involved to really push towards that direction.
The only question I got is Ben really eating a kale salad?
I'm the
bro.
one eating a kale salad, but TBH, I'm not eating it because I realize I'll probably get kale in my teeth.
Yeah, nobody really asked that. I just made that up.
Oh.
But if you do have questions, make sure you drop it in the chat. We're gonna answer some questions, kind of as like a little post show.
He pulled that off well, though.
Yeah,
That was
you
sneaky.
got
like
me.
that?
Like,
I like
I
that.
look like a fool.
I got you. All right, so Ben, let's talk about Sundays real quick. Let's talk about how
Sunday.
Man, how we really feel like God's working as far as like maybe how evangelism looks different, how Sundays look different, but at the same time, like the same. We still have the same win. We still have, we still want to see Christ-centered life change, people coming to know Jesus more. One of our favorite quotes we like to use around here is "Marry your mission, date your model." So I guess how has our model changed when it comes to Sundays and the approach there?
Yeah, so so I think this is specifically, and I'm going to back up a little bit and say like the broad spectrum of what it seems like God's doing on planet Earth right now. And I wouldn't even say what God's doing on planet Earth right now. It's how God is using what's happening on planet Earth to do what God has always wanted to do on planet Earth. So if you look at the New Testament, so 1 Peter chapter 2, right? He says, you are a royal priesthood, a holy nation, right? So we are to be a group of priests, and not just a group with one or two priests that are running around. Now, in our common lexicon, we don't use the word priest, but we use the word pastor. So we are to be a church, a group of people that are pastors, right? And what's interesting is when Peter said that, and this is kind of a little known fact, when Peter said that, he was actually drawing on Moses saying that in Exodus 19. So Exodus 20, 10 commandments. Exodus 19, right before that, God declares over the people that you are a kingdom of priests. And there is a huge difference between a kingdom of priests and a kingdom with priests. I was thinking about this. I'm going to try to give this sermon in 3 minutes, okay?
Good luck.
With the take-home application and everything. That being that the priests, their job was to be the conduit to kind of speak to the people. And so as a nation, the nation of Israel was supposed to be a group that was the conduit to speak because of their place with God, to use their place with God, to kind of dispense the things of God to all other nations. So they were supposed to have priests, but everyone was a priest. Well, New Testament, Peter basically says, hey, everyone is a pastor, not just have some pastors, have elders, but everyone is supposed to embody this. And the reason I think that's important is because for far too long, the church has institutionalized and centralized the power and the authority to do the work of God. We have done a very, very poor job at empowering the saints to do the work of ministry. We've said, bring your friends and we'll do the ministry. I think what's cool is if the gospel is going to go forward now, it can't be simply by bringing people here, right?
Yeah.
It's got to be by going and taking it, going and being empowered. You have the Holy Spirit working and living inside of you. You have the ability to do what God's called you to do. At the end of the day, what's really extraordinary about this is that you can go and experience God and hear from God for yourself. And so what we're seeing happen as it relates to Sunday is that people are doing that. People are sharing the link. Some of the things that we're seeing that have been happening that have been really cool, if people have started to gather in like small friend groups to talk and to have conversations and to watch and go to church together. And honestly, looking forward, what we know to be true about us, the biggest challenge as family dinners, this is let's have a family conversation at this point. The biggest challenge that
Yes,
we're going
Dad.
yeah, sorry. The biggest challenge that we're going to face, frankly, is it's going to be impossible for us to have enough services to seat enough people in a responsible way who want to show up to church. We simply can't. So one, if you're coming to church, we need you to RSVP because we don't want to turn people away at the door. We will if we have to, or we'll tell people to sit in the lobby. So we need you to RSVP. But the other thing is, man, we are really hoping that what has already started to happen continues to happen in a greater way, that people realize, I can do this. I am perfectly positioned to bring the gospel to a group of people who are around me. And so I live in a dorm, and I can invite everybody on my floor or people on my floor to say, hey, I'm watching church at 9. I'm watching church at 11. I live in a fraternity or at a sorority house. Hey, I can open this in the chapter room, and I can say, whoever wants to come, we're watching church at 11. You're welcome to come to church with me. People in their neighborhoods, people who would never walk in the front door of a church, gather together, and they say, hey, why don't you come in and watch and go to church with us, right? And what's cool about this and what we see happen over and over is when people really get this, it oftentimes is not in the religious context, but it's not a new concept. We just call them away football games or bachelor and bachelorette watch parties, right? like we already do this functionally for things that we find commonality and that we're excited about. Where people are like, yeah, everybody come over to the house, and some of you have like March Madness like tournament things that go on who's going to win the Bachelor or the Bachelorette or whichever one's happening right now.
I kind of feel like we're doing like a Bachelor recap setup right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know how on The Bachelor no one actually eats their food? We're accidentally doing that right now.
I've been eating. I just want.
I ate one chicken nugget. I will say that in case you guys didn't see me.
So that to say is if there's one thing I would say to take away from a lot of what we're talking about here, it's that you have already been doing so much ministry, whether you knew it or not. You have empowered the church to do so much ministry. You are a royal priesthood, a holy and chosen nation. And so we're just hoping and praying that God puts that inside of us to say, okay, I can do this. I can carry the gospel. I can be the torchbearer. I can invite people into my living room, into my home, create pockets of community. And in fact, we don't feel a need to create this as an institutional event, right? So Florida State doesn't say, okay, we got an away football game. Here's where all the watch parties are happening around town. People just congregate together. The Bachelor, ABC, NBC, whoever it's on, right? They don't say, okay.
ABC.
Cool. So they don't say this is how it happens, and so people just gather together and do that. And so, man, it's our hope that because of what happens, and so this is if I'm casting a vision for 6 to 8 months out, when we are able to gather together, it is a incredibly robust and joyful experience with people who are a part of our church family who have never stepped foot in our church because they spent the last 6 months in somebody's living room being the church, right? Mm-hmm. And that 6 months later, 8 months later, vaccinations happened, kind of whatever it was, we were allowed to congregate in a safe way together. And we just realized our family was so much bigger than what we thought it was because our family was acting like the royal priesthood. So that's, I hope 6 months from now, 8 months from now, whenever that happens, man, we just get together and it's like, it's just this big family reunion with lost cousins that we never knew about.
Yeah, I love it. That's good. So Jenna, for you, like, how have you kind of seen that play out in our church, and maybe seen that personally kind of play out of like maybe like the point of like I feel empowered to like not just come and sit and like be a part of a service, but actually like go and like, you know, share the gospel like to the world.
I think it's just been a really cool opportunity to live out the Great Commission of Jesus sending us out. And it's been like a great opportunity because it's broken the mold of what we're used to, like the conventional coming to church, sitting in a row on Sunday. And it's just been like, okay, I have to actively go and seek this out. And I think that's honestly been the coolest part of it.
Yeah, that's awesome. So just a reminder, we are meeting in person right now, 9 a.m., 11 a.m. We just ask everybody to RSVP. Kids Church is also meeting. It's just very limited. We're limiting our exposure, limiting out people that can come, so that we can be safe. We can abide by what, you know, the city's telling us to do. And like Ben said, we're excited. Man, if you don't feel comfortable coming, like, I think the big point of this is like, don't be defeated, right? You're still a part of a bigger family. So find ways to connect there. Find ways to evangelize through online. Find a community group online, right? And we just know that God's at work, and we want to be a part of that.
Yeah, last thing I'd say about that too is not only are we're not just saying that, this is the language that we use when we're planning for stuff. So what we realized really early on was that the 99 are online. There's only a few that are wanting to and feel safe and comfortable coming in person. And what we also realized was people have been doing this for years. They just called it a game show, right? What happens in that is that there's interaction. There's a live studio audience. What happens in the live studio audience enhances the experience of whoever's experiencing it online. And so our hope is that as we have people in the room, the goal isn't we're back. The goal is we're still the church, and we want what happens in the physical room to enhance and bless the people who are not in the physical room with us. That's just kind of for us, the live studio audience, which functionally and frankly is why we're not adding service on service on service on service on service, because we want to see people really embody this idea of going, loving, and serving, being empowered, being the royal priesthood.
Yeah, definitely. That's good. So as we kind of wrap up tonight, again, we're going to stick around here for a couple minutes. If you guys have any questions, drop them in the comments. We'll make sure to answer those. But just kind of as a wrap up, we just want to say, man, find ways to get involved. If that is, I want to serve. Okay, we're going to have smaller pockets of people going out in our community. I know this Saturday we're going to Foster, Florida, right? Which is, they support the foster families that are in Tallahassee, which God bless you. We're incredibly thankful for all of our foster families. And we're going Saturday and going and helping sort stuff. But, it's like a pocket of 10 people, right? And so be looking for opportunities like that on the DCC app. Make sure you download it. Be on the DCC Connect Facebook group if you're not a part of that already. Follow us on social media. Hey, if you're looking to be a part of a community group, this Sunday, 30 groups are launching. We have a spot for you. We'll make it happen. You can come in person, come online. This Sunday, you can learn more about that. We got Hope launching. A lot of cool things happening that we're really excited about that. We believe we all want to, as a church, we want to empower our entire church body to be a part of and to do that. So any closing comments for you guys?
Why did y'all look at me?
Because you always got something on your mind, man. We know that.
Yeah, you always have something to say.
Like I did have something on my mind, but I was hoping it wouldn't just go back to me that quick. So last thing I'll say is this. Classic
Didn't
sermon.
you say that the last time?
It was about the last subject, though.
Oh,
It wasn't like last
all
thing
right.
in summation. No, I would just say, for those of you guys who don't know, William Colley wears about 35 hats at our church. He leads worship. He executive actually he functionally leads the entire staff. I just talk. And so, William, you have done it's somewhat true. You have done an extraordinary job of leading our staff, of leading our church, of executing the work of ministry, of empowering the saints. So thank you for all that you have done in this COVID time, because you, more than anybody probably else in the church, have had to figure out how to change and how to adjust it. Thank you.
I appreciate it. You guys make it easy. And our church makes it easy. Awesome, incredible family to serve and to love. So thank you, everybody, for being a part. Should we expect another family dinner at some point?
I mean, if the people want it.
Yeah, we're here to serve.
We'll see. Jason, Jason, he asked, what is Brick and Mortar Church going to look like in the near future? So, Jason, we are meeting, like we said, in person. Everybody is required to wear a mask. We do have kids' church. It's limited, but you can just RSVP. Make sure we have spots for you at 9 or 11. Everybody's been great. I mean, I think since the weeks that we've been meeting back, I think everybody's been appropriate, handling it correctly, and just thankful for that. So, we're excited.
And if you handle it inappropriately, we've got a security team too. So
that's true.
Just be ready.
Mark said, "Do you think Will still uses Big Willie style?"
In what context?
I don't know.
I think when he signs off on his prayers, he's like, "Thank you, God, amen, love, Big Willie style."
Yeah. Is that like a spoken or like a unspoken part of the prayer?
Yes.
Okay.
All right. Anybody got any other questions? You get any other questions over there, Mon, from website?
Online church?
Yeah.
Ooh. I thought we
questions?
weren't streaming
I
on
got
that.
I got a
Oh, people want to know about your shoes. If you guys didn't know, Ben has
This is
shoes
my favorite
that
thing.
one shoe has a B and the other one has a K. So he's got his initials on his shoes.
monogrammed sun.
Because he forgets his name.
No, so my mother-in-law got these for me. They're called Saludos. I got my first
Espadrilles.
Thanks. See, that's what I'm talking about. Just like, anyways, yeah. So they're like a mixture of like good house shoes, but at the same time like good street shoes too. So
Good like family dinner shoes.
yeah. They're actually called smoking slippers, if you wanted the technical. Yeah, but I mean we're not too far removed from Baptist life, so like
Yeah, Jewel brought up your license plate that had Ben K on it for years.
all I can know is I got a text from somebody else that said Jewel is heckling her husband live online, and it's giving me life right now. So Stuart Owens, thanks for that. I'm not sure what Jewel's doing.
Stuart
but
said that?
Yeah. It's in our group text.
Shout out to Stu for watching.
Big Stu Buck.
All right, anybody? Oh, here we go. Okay, all these questions about us. Want to know what about my hair product? It looks great. That's because it's the camera angles. Again, shout out to Christian, right? He's making sure my bald spot's covered up, and I appreciate that, man.
I know that nobody asked this question, but I will give you the information anyways. Yes, these plants are from our house, my house. Shout out to Allie, my roommate. She's our resident plant lady. That's in case you were curious.
Yeah, these plants are real.
Yes.
Are they?
Allie actually is incredible with plants. She came by the house because we have just bought a new house and there's tons of plants. And she said, "Oh, you got this thing. You need to put it in the water." It was dead, and I did what she told me, and it's back to life.
Ooh, that's the gospel truth, right?
Mm.
It was dead and it
once
came
was
back
blind.
to life.
Wow, Allie.
This show's really losing traction.
It
quick.
is. It
Like,
is.
I don't know what
I think it's
our
time.
online viewers
I
are, but
think-
it's certainly ticking down at this
I think
point.
it's time. Hey, thank you guys for tuning in. It's been a blast. Hopefully you guys feel encouraged. We will see you on Sunday. Make sure you RSVP if you're coming in person, or we will see you online. Love you guys. Have a great night.